Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professionals, those who are listening, watching from the field of arts, science, commerce and engineering, the most honorable President President Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, I Dr.RK from USA heartily cordially welcome all of you. Dear friends, today we will discuss spiritual discourses. All of us know that our Indian culture is known by the starters, beginners and initiators, free thinkers, freedom fighters, astronomers, astrologers, those who came on this land. So Indian culture is the greatest symbol of multi-linguist nation. Holy religions have different type of holy scriptures and holy books. It was written in the presence of nature, with the 100% presence of nature. Our great man described it, explained for the welfare of humanity. Their aim, objective or ambition was only to make us able to understand the realities of life. Sometimes a man who cannot be happy with his present situation, he is to turn his ideas towards idealism, towards imagination. But if someone is not happy in imagination, then he is to turn towards reality. So these are the changes in the form of joys and sorrows, ups and downs, poverty and royalty. These are the changes that are made by God or Lord to make us able to feel the presence of Lord or God. The concept of Genesis, it is generally told that man's ancestors were monkeys. As per the theory of science, man has developed from monkey. Anyhow, I'll not say about it, but what happens if the sons of those scientists who believe in this theory are taken from them and given to the agonized issueless couples, and those scientists should be given old monkeys in return so that they may entitle all their properties to their names, because one day these monkeys will definitely become human beings when their tails disappear. What has happened today? Why are monkeys not turning into men now? The reason being given is that atmosphere has been changed. Do they know about the atmosphere of that ancient time? Again, there is a general question to science. Who came first, hen or egg? Their answer will be egg. But how did an egg come into being without a hen? If hen came first is the reply, then how did hen came into existence without an egg. Again the scientists plead that the meteorites from the sky struck the earth with high speed. Then there were heavy rains and water filled the pits created by meteorites. Later on, the water evaporated slowly and the creatures of the water originated. They laid eggs, and as a result of development or evolutionary changes, different types of creatures came out of time. So brothers, it is so. Then take away the eggs of tortoise to your home to see. Perhaps a human child may come out of that. Why are the egg? Why are the egg not attaining different shape automatically? Nowadays, when it happened so in the past, there is no answer to this question with scientists that how it all happened. Oh brothers, the reality is that different statues were created by God from Kal, and God made the rays emerging from him strike the statues which came to life then and there. So there had been no evolution of man from monkey or anything else. Rightly the spiritual saints have asked, अवल अल्लाह नूर उपाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर ते सब जग उपजिया कौन पले कौन मंदे. Almighty first appeared as mass radiant. Every living being is his descendant. We all are his flesh and blood. Call no one as bad or good. The word Allah is present in the sacred speech of Guru Granth Sahibans in Guru Sahibanj, and the word remains there as it is because they wanted the welfare of all and not of an individual of a particular sect. It is a true recitation of the great Shirs that first of all Allah, God and Paramatma manifested himself in the form of divine light, and the rays emitted from the light which are inside you also are called souls. The whole world is created by that divine light. Different statues whatsoever, maybe their number, were God created by God from Kal, and each shade struck those statues and life came into those statues. After that the process of reproduction continued. Hence all human beings are descendants of nature. The whole world has been created by that celestial light, and no one is good or bad. Belief in God. Today's man mostly depends on belief. Today's man mostly depends on belief. You may think of yourself, suppose you have never been to Madras before and you want to go to Madras by train. You have to go to the railway station where you look for the train on which Madras is written. Then you have to believe that train will move from that very place only, which one of your senses have assured you have that the train would start from there only. You came to know by what was written there and what you saw. It is all your fate and not your perception. Then you go to the booking window where tickets are available. You purchase the ticket on which it is written that it will take you to Madras. Again you believe in that ticket. Then you board the particular train It is not your perception, but believe that chain would lead you to Madras. When the chain is running and you are not familiar with the route because you are going to Madras for the first time, even then you are sitting in the train only because of your belief that this train will definitely go to Madras. When the train reaches Madras station, only then you realize that it is Madras and you have reached to the proper place. So far as God is concerned, man is not ready to have faith in Him. It is strange that man can have faith over trifles, but when spiritual saints tell him to believe in God, and he forbids to do so. Saints say that you will have to believe in God also. You will be given words and you have to repeat them silently. Words shall walk like that ticket and to repeat them silently like sitting in train. As you go on repeating the words, this will definitely lead you towards your destination, that is Satlok. But what can God do for you when you are not ready to do anything yourself? On the contrary, such people try to prove that God does not exist. No, brother, God is there. It is told further, यूनियन तो भोग रही कर्म किए, तुझे हैं दोनों अधिकार दिए, चाहे नरक में जा चाहे सतलोक जा. Our beings are helpless for many deeds. God hates given the two paths to lead, whether go to hell or rise, or have way to paradise. God has not created caste or creeds. Leaving aside the devotion of God, man feels hatred and jealous of others. God is one, but He is called by several names. For example, let the people of all the different castes and creeds be seated at one place and send the wisest man of the world there to find out any difference. Bones, veins, flesh, and red blood circulating in the veins of all of them are the same. There may be silent or slight difference in the color of their skin, but not in characteristics. Then, why does the man differentiate himself from the others? Has God made any differential amongst you all? No difference at all. What to say of gods? Even his nature and plantation never show any difference to anyone. For example, bunch of grapes is hanging on a vines and a man of the highest caste and creed, created by man himself there, will that bunch fall down itself in its hands to be eaten? No, not at all. He can eat only when he plucks it. Now send a man of the lowest caste and created by man himself there to have that bunch fly up, forbidding him to touch it as it will get spoiled. Not at all. The bunch remains there. He can also eat if he plucks it. So 2 points are clear that neither God nor his nature ever shows any difference. It is the man only who creates such differences. It all depends on his mind. How it dictates him. I tell you something more about this racial discrimination which I noticed myself. In an area there grows a rich crop of wheat. Landlords belonging to well-to-do families don't sow wheat themselves, but it is sown with the help of tractors. It matters not if they drive the tractors themselves. There are people of lower caste as considered by people who put their hands in the pipes of machine so that the seed may not stick into the pipe. When the seeds grow up, they are watched by the people of the lower caste. I am telling you what I have seen myself. Crops are reaped by the people of low caste. Nowadays machines are available, no doubt, but the grains are loaded in the trucks and trolleys by the people of the low caste and are weighted and packed in the bags by the people of low caste. It is grinded for the rich by the people of low caste. No matter if one goes himself to get it grinded, the millstone is shaped by the people of low caste. When bread means roti or chapati is prepared, then that man of low caste is ordered by the man of high caste not to touch that chapati and not to cast its shadow even. Isn't it a wonderful formula? All the work is done by the people of low caste, and when comes the concern of roti, he is asked to stay away just because he belongs to a man-made low caste. So brothers, isn't it a formula cooked by the rich of the so-called high caste and creed? He would have known the fact if he had put his feet in the holes of the snakes in the fields to do all the work which those low caste people do. I tell you another incident like this which had happened with me. I formerly used to live in a place, different places, shun hated for one another because of caste, creed or religion is developing day by day. This hatred first develops within the country itself and then between one country and the others and so on. The atomic bomb has been invented by scientists only because of this increasing disgust. I am of the opinion that the cause of development of such a ferocious power is the result of revenge and hatred among us, the people within a country or outside. May God never allow these powers to come into action. What will happen when these powers play their havoc? What will happen when these powers play their havoc is not unknown to humanity because Hiroshima and Nagasaki are their proofs. A scientist met me and told that the bombs which destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki were quite less powerful than those atomic bombs which today's man has invented. The modern ones are 100 times more powerful than those used at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. According to the scientists, when these new atomic bombs will explode, so much heat will be generated and atmospheric temperature will increase to many thousand degrees and whatever particles fall under their affected area will melt like wax and look like water. From my point of view, the inventor of this atomic bomb might be thinking of ruling over the whole world after exploding these atomic bombs. In spite of knowing the facts, the scientist is becoming ignorant. I ask upon whom he will rule? Upon whom will he rule when even the dead bodies will not available at that time? What type of kingdom it would be? Where there will be none to obey, where there will be none to obey. Also where lies the guarantee that he would survive and rule. His neighbor is also ready to use atomic power against him in order to destroy him. Thus it is the feeling of jealousy, hatred and an insatiable lust for power which is increasing the gap between man and God, or we can also say that it is his widened gap between man and God which is taking this world towards irreparable disaster. The people until they are redeemed from this hatred. One who believes in God can never say that God has created any difference between man and man. See, God has framed this wonderful human body, and in this small body He has provided the brain, which is the best among us all the organs. Couldn't God write the words like Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or Christian, etc. on the forehead of the fetus, while in the womb of the mother Had he written this, there would not have been any dispute amongst men. If someone had asked the other as to who he was, in that case he would show the name plate inscribed on his forehead by the god. Does any such name plate exist on the forehead of any person? Was God not able to do so? Is God helpless in any way? The answer to this question is that God is neither weak nor incapable to write that name plate, since God has not done so. Therefore, its simple meaning is that God has only made a human being in the form of mother. Further, this human being becomes a part of the religion in which he grows up. No religion teaches us to quell selfless love for all beings. All the religions teach the lesson of love, whether one follows it or not. It is his own sweet will. See, great men say, Jinthenkheyot in Hibrabhayo. Hindus, great men say, love God's creation if you want to see him. Muslim saints say, love thy neighbor. They never asked anyone to confirm first who his neighbor was. They simply taught to love your neighbor. It seems to be an ordinary thought, but contains in itself a very deep meaning, because every neighbor has a neighbor, maybe of any caste. It means love all. They may even say that if you worship God, have sufficient eatable, and on the other hand your neighbor is dying of hunger, your worship will be reduced to ashes and mingled into dust. The same thing is taught by English saints who say love is God and God is love. But people have misinterpreted it. This is not that kind of love which is sexual and mean toward the satisfaction of lust and other selfish motives like the greed for wealth, etc. True love is to God and humanity. We should have such feelings that all are created by one supreme power. Hatred can only vanish if we all human beings are awakened and develop a feeling of oneness. When hatred all disappears, then 50 or 60% budget of the countries which is presently being spent in preparing weapons of war will be saved, and then this huge saved money would be utilized for the welfare of the humanity. Then there might not be a single person who may remain or stay hungry. Every man will lead a comfortable life. It is possible only if man becomes awakened. But he has imprisoned himself in his narrow range of thinking. If his own cord is broken, he is busy in fixing it with Fevicol. But he is no concerned with that of others. There are few people who are worried about the whole humanity. But those people who have procured the utmost power shall not listen to the philanthropic people. You should remember God and recite His words silently. Bring Him to change the minds of all these dreadful people so that these destructive bombs may never come into action. Otherwise, there is hardly any escape when the man-made destructive power would come into action and bring devastation. It would never think of the on and the alien. What type of thinking the present day man has acquired? Due to this thinking, the humanity is leading towards the burning inferno. If there is any danger, that is from man's evil thoughts and prevailing hatred. Only God's true and pious words can redeem the world from it. It is further been preached, Lakh 84 जून का तू सरदार जान बुझ बनता 84 का बीमार जन्म गया एक बार क्षमा लगे बेशुमार. US is the best of 84 lakh lives. Directly into this cycle you have dives. Once this life is lost in vain, it's all lost for time uncertain. Saint Kabir ji says, मानस जन्म दुर्लभ है होने बारंबार जोबन फल पाके पाएं गिरे बहु न लागी डार. Behold, human life is rare, may not be again take care. As fruit from branch dogged at tree, won't unite again with the tree. As a ripened fruit from the branch of a tree falls on the earth and cannot be attached again with that branch, similarly, this human body which we have got after time immemorial and forgetting salvation to the soul, that is formatting the soul into God is just that ripened fruit and will not be available to the soul time and again. We have got body with a great difficulty. Once this life is spent without its true motive, the chance is lost forever. We observe that animals are better than man in many aspects. We may ask how human beings eat and so do animals. But the difference in their eating is that human beings generally eat the animals, but the animals generally do not eat man. The man produces children, works and sleeps. Similarly, animals also generate their young ones, work and sleep. Rather, the bones and skin, etc. of the animals are useful to man in many ways. But it is not true in the case of human body. Man attacks an acacia tree with his axe to obtain gum from it. People in our area do practice it. Do you ever think that the tree feels no pain when attacked? Surely this tree feels pain. You may attack this tree as many times as you wish, but it will not retaliate to catch hold of your hands. Its soul will definitely bear pain. But will you allow anyone to attack you like this? If somebody tries to attack you, you will muster all your energy to save yourself, and if still hurts you, then you will go to some hospital to get yourself relieved of pain. Actually, there is a word of difference between human beings and the other living creatures of God like plants and animals. Like human beings, plants have also life, but plants can neither move from their places nor they can express themselves. The main difference between you and the plants is that God has gifted you with a very sharp brain, but the plants have been provided only a negligible brain, or you can say nothing like brain. An intelligent man may question, Maharaji, would an animal ever be able to reach the moon or the sun? Whereas the man has already traveled up to moon and is trying to reach the sun and other planets. It is perfectly alright that animals cannot do so. It goes without saying that today's scientist has developed tremendously, and numerous items for human comforts have been invented which are inexplicable. But the extent to which this man has become worthless and mean that an animal has neither been so till date nor is expected to be such in the near future. An animal can kill one or two animals, but all creatures and the whole nature can never be in danger because of a bird or an animal, as it is fear of today's man. Guru Sahib Ji says, Lak chorashi bharmatya dulab janam payo nanak nam sambhaltu shodin nili ayo. After cycle of birth and death, precious life doth it gain. Nanak recites Naam every breath, and cycle is approaching again. After suffering in the cycle of 84 lakh births and deaths, soul has attained this most precious human body, which otherwise cannot be attained at any cost. Take care, or it with the help of words of God. Otherwise, your soul will again be entrapped in the cycle of 84 lakh of births and deaths, as the time of your death is drawing near and this cycle moves on continuously. But this human body is so powerful that man can attain salvation if he wants to do so. How can God be attained is further told in Psalm. सच झूठ की न कोई पहचान करे, झूठ पीछे लग खप खप के मरे, सच को न पहचाने, झूठ को है सच माने. Why don't ye identify true and false? Though are always lost in false. Don't know the truth you, and take false as true. What for you have come, ye never measure, but always lost in sensual pleasure. Thine life is being in vain, thou value not it again. You have only one work urgent, recite God's words every moment, make use of every precious breath to enter God's realm after death. Leave aside the cycle of birth and death. In the end of this psalm, it is message that you have trapped yourself in falsehood, minting money on the name of God, minting money on the name God, a great cause. Many people generally tell a lie and cheat others all the day and are lost in sensual pleasures at night. In the morning after taking bath, they take out from their pocket a 1 rupee note or take certain flowers of anything else as offerings and present the same to their God, whom they believe in, saying, O God, forgive our past sins. We may think why they had not prayed to God for future sins or for the light of wisdom for their souls. It is because they are quite sure that God is not to run away from that place and they would get their tomorrow's sins forgiven on the other day by offering another rupees and so on. Does it mean that God accepts bribe and will not forgive all the sins after taking your 1 rupee? Is he waiting for 4 or 5 of his disciples to come and give him 10 or 20 rupees so that he may visit some restaurant to have his meals? What a wonder, what a wonder. People think that God is like a toy. They cheat and rob the innocent people on the name of God. Since then the man has started this business of cheating others on the name of God is not known. On the other hand, neither God nor his devotees have ever written anywhere as such to cheat in this manner. Suppose a man comes in your city and reads out the holy scriptures of great men before you and tells you that God is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. The truthful people know that all this is true, and so they become followers of the particular man. But later on that man spreads clothes before the people and asks them to earn money on the name of God. Just think over, as God has given you brain. On one hand, man says that God is the creator of the whole universe, and on the other hand, he asks you to offer money on the name of God. How strange! When God can create the whole universe and a human being, then can he not mint money which is made by man even? If he can, then why there is this cheating on the name of God? You are giving money to that man thinking that you have given on the name of Prabhu, Ram and God, isn't it? That man goes away after collecting money from your city. Now, it becomes your foremost duty to constitute a committee of 5 or 6 members and follow him to see whether God ever comes to take that money from him. If you are trying to find out the fact in this manner, that man will ask you to take your money back because neither God has come nor he will ever come to take the money. Actually, what happens? That money is not meant for God, rather it is consumed for their personal benefits by the people who collect it from you on the name of God. With that money, you support themselves and their families. There are laws to prevent thefts and acts of cheating in our country, But is there any law prohibiting this type of cheating on the name of God? Is there any panel of judges and advocates to trace out whether God has ever come to choose those 7 or 8 lakh of rupees collected by you on the name of God? Has anyone inquired it? It must be confirmed. People give money or charity to God and not to man. Who bothers about whether God comes to take that money or not? Our second question is, does God need money? If He actually needs it, why does He not come to you directly or straightforwardly? Can anyone stop that power or God? He doesn't need any mediator. He doesn't need any mediator. If He needs money, He would come directly, because then you will feel great happiness on one hand. You will have the vision of God on the other hand. You will have the satisfaction that you have actually given the money to God with your own hands. Now tell honestly whether God has ever come to you. No, not at all. Only human beings come to take away the money from you. Spiritual saints have not written in any scripture that you should give money to God. It is a work of a man that he robs the people of their money on the name of God. And this business on the name of God is wonderful one. It might have happened at your place. Also, he held a spiritual discourse at a place in a very big city of Haryana, which was also attended by certain wealthy merchants. They asked me, Balaji, what is your fee? Means that charges will you take from the people for your preachings? I said, our fee is that you should spare time for 2 hours only, listen spiritual program, and then go after taking prasad free of cost. On listening my reply, they felt surprised and further asked if I wanted any donation or offering. I replied, oh brothers, I don't need any money or offering or donation from you, since I am a humble servant of God, and I'll present before you the entirely true as per His command. But why are you asking for fee or donation again and again? They said that once a religious person had come and preached them about God for 7 days. He used to take 2 lakh of rupees per day. In this way, we gave 14 lakh of rupees to him. The father told me that they didn't tell all this to common man, and actually he had collected this money from some selected rich merchants. Now please see, this is what these so-called religious people usually do these days. It has also been noticed that there are some companies which sponsor the so-called religious program even, and those companies do all this for the sake of their advertisements and consequential benefits. Thus both the partners gain thereof. Can there be any other business better than this? He simply robbed 14 lakh rupees of the people in 7 days without spending even a single penny from his pocket. It is like gains without pains. For this they need no academic degree and nor even have to fear of any tax rate. They simply tell you what is written in the scripture of great men and get money from public in return. There can be no other cheating worse than this. The wealth amassed in this ugly way may give pleasure to those people only for some time, but ultimately it will definitely work as a poison for them. You will see those people suffering badly who deceive others on the name of God. It is painful to note that man has belittled God, the creator of the universe, to such an extent that today's man thinks to have bought him. Isn't it so? I frankly inform all of you that God will certainly punish those who deceive the innocent public on the name of God, but there may be some delay. I don't call anyone as bad, but cannot help exposing this prevalent evil in the society, because of which faith of the people in God is decreasing day by day, and it is matter of great concern for the nation. So brothers, this money affairs has not even spared the guilt of religious dignitaries. They have nothing to do except to read out the scriptures of great men in a sweet voice and tune, and you people appreciate them as if they have presented before you something wonderful. Oh brothers, whom are you appreciating? If there is anything to wonder or to praise, that is the writer of the scripture only. What is there to appreciate about the speaker? If you are educated, you can also read it conveniently. I have read almost all the scriptures, and I have found nowhere written that only that person can have access to God who will sing in tune. Undoubtedly, it has rather been written that those who remember God without any hypocrisy and pretension shall certainly find Him. But this deceitful man has thought God to be pleasing like a child. Whenever a man goes to the place of worship, whom he believes in, he never goes empty-handed. Either he had money or flour or some eatables with him, which he offers to God, whether you believe it or not. He goes with a pride that he is going to give something to God. There were some merchants sitting together. One of them was saying that he had given 500 rupees to God. The other person said that he had given 10,000 rupees. Still on the other hand, one said that has offered silver coins, and one of them said that he had offered gold coin in God. So brothers, when you are going to give him something, then how can he give you anything? When you are dominated by your ego, then God will neither take nor give you anything. Your offerings are digested only by the mediators. Man becomes satisfied by saying that he has given something to God. If you really feel that God is there, go empty-handed and do all your evils before going to Him, so that He may bestow the extreme happiness up to the flame by His grace. Also keep it in mind that God is not a beggar, but He is a donor or a benefactor. Beggar is today's man. That is why an educated man of today is increasing his distance from God, because he thinks that money is another name of God. Some students from Delhi side met me and said, Maharaji, our faith in Prabhu Ram, Vishwa Allah, God, Vaheguru and Hari Om is decreasing day by day. I asked them the reasons for the same. They told me when somebody comes to our houses, he asks for money or something else on the name of God, Ram, Allah and Vaheguru. Also, if we go to any place of God or Ram, Allah, Vaheguru, still we have to pay either money or something else there, because otherwise we are not given the prasad. The student further told me that from this it is evident that God is a beggar. Actually, they were having wrong conception about God. On asking whether God had ever appeared on their doors to beg from them, they admitted that it had never happened so. They were further asked, then who come to your door to beg, man or God? They confirmed that only man comes to beg on their doors. I also advised them to hide themselves in the place of worship, where they go and put the money before God, Ram, Allah and Vaheguru, and then observe their own eyes. As to who picks up the money put by them, whether God or man pocket is, they immediately replied that money is picked up from there only by a name and not by God. Then I said, man can be beggar. How can you call God a beggar? I challenge the greatest scientist of the day to prove that God is a beggar. God is not a beggar, God is a benefactor. He always bestowed His grace, is bestowing and will always continue to do so. He had always filled the empty bucket, is filling and filing, and will always do so in future as well. Had God been desirous of money, the kings and other millionaires would have imprisoned him in their places, saying that they would give him 2,000 million rupees instantaneously, and he is not supposed to go out of their home. Dear brothers, thank you for your presence. May God bless all of us. Thank you. Nice to see all of you.